Hello and welcome to this first look kind of exploring session to the Chester Mystery Plays. The Chester Mystery Cycle has a long and complicated history, both in terms of the way it staged mystery plays, initially all in one day on Corpus Christi, and then later on they thought, hang on, let's spread it out a bit. Let's do it over 3 days over Whitsun. And then towards the Reformation, the plays all get a bit rewritten, and then as the mystery plays are quietly suppressed and disappear, people start copying them out, and they're copying them out in so many different versions that it's actually quite fiddly to know what text. So this is a version of the Chester Mystery Cycle. There will be word variations depending on which version you're using, and I just don't worry about it too much. You know, it's fine. I say this is a sort of first look exploring session. We're looking at the first two plays. I say we today, but we have already done this in the distant past, nearly 10 years ago. On the podcast, there are some not very good recordings of our initial exploring sessions. I don't even know if we called them exploring sessions. We had a different title for the entire podcast. We weren't even a podcast. It's all very complicated. So we're doing them again for the YouTube audience and for this room who've mostly not experienced them but have experienced other mystery plays. So it's all like we've gone back to the beginning and we're doing a bit of a do-over. I say I'm going away because I've already done this. So I'm handing it over to Sarah to cover for me. And hopefully you will have fun, because I seem to recall enjoying these the Chester Mysteries quite a lot. So reading today, Lightborne, Secundus Demon, Primus and Tercius, Angelus and Abel, and possibly somebody else as well, is...
It's Alan, based in Suffolk, and yes, I was there first time round.
Reading Lucifer, Primus Demon, Serpent and Cain, is...
Hello, Dan, actor based in Montpellier, France, and this is my first time.
Reading, you never forget your first time. Reading Angel, Cherubin. Oh, no, there's no point reading that one. Reading Deus, Dominations, Potestates, Secundus and Quartus, Angelus, is...
Hi, I'm Emma Kemp. I'm an actor and I'm in London.
And reading Archangel, Vertutes, Principatus and Adam, is...
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm here. I'm here to be all the angels. No, I'm kidding. Yeah,
yes.
And over to God.
And hopefully we will have a latecomer joining us to read in some more angels and other angelic life forms, and also Eve, but we shall see. If not, I'm sure Sarah, who is our host, Sarah will be able to keep everything ticking over. I may return at the end of the session. I don't know. I'm Robert Crighton, and now handing you over to Sarah Blake. Take it away, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Rob. We'll hopefully see you later. So let's get into this. We're going to start at the beginning with Chester Play 1, the Tanner's Play. Pageant 1 tells of how heaven, the angels, and hell were created. We start with God, so if you're ready to go, God, take it away.
Ego sum alpha et u, primus et novissimus. It is my will, it should be so. It is, it was, it shall be thus. I am great God gracious, which never had beginning. The whole food of parent is set in my essentia. I am the trial of the Trinity, which never shall be twinning. Peerless patron imperial and patris serpentia. My beams be all beatitude, all bliss is in my building. All mirth is in my mansuetude, cum Dei potentia. Both visible and invisible, all is my welding. As God, greatest and glorious, all lieth mea licentia. For all the might of majesty is magnified in me, Prince, principle, proved in my perpetual providence. I was never but one, and ever one in three, set in substantial soothness within celestial sapience. The three trials in a throne and true Trinity be grounded in my Godhead, exalted by my excellence. The might of my making is marked in me, dissolved under a diadem by my divine experience. Now sith I am so solemn and set in my solation, a bigly bliss here will I build, a heaven without ending, and cast a comely compass by comely creation. 9 orders of angels be ever to one attending. Do your endeavour, and doubt you not under my domination, to sit in celestial safety, all solace to your sending, for all the liking in this lordship be lord to my laudation. Through the might of my most majesty, your mirth shall ever be mending.
And I'm just going to stop us there already because, my God, that was quite a start, wasn't it? This is a writer who likes their alliteration. I don't know how you got through that, Emma. It was like a series of tongue twisters.
I know, I struggled a little bit. It wasn't perfect.
No, you did really well. But this is quite an opening. What do we think of this? Yeah, Dan's put in the chat, bigly. It's lots of bigly bliss here. What do we think? Alan?
Yeah, the End Town opening speech is very, very similar. I have a feeling, in fact, may almost have been cloned from this because I remember because I had to rehearse that. We were supposed to be doing a rehearsed reading of it just before Plague struck, and it had exactly the same issues of the alliteration within the line. And it's almost like someone's done it as a challenge. You know, how many times can we use the same initial letter?
Yeah, like God, it's God. God can alliterate. He's the only one that can get away with it. I just felt that should have been accompanied by sequins, feather boas, maybe a full chorus line. It was
not been created yet, Sarah.
Oh well, they should have been. I mean, it feels it's like hi everybody, I'm God, I'm fabulous. I just felt that was a really great opening. Anyone? Dan, yes.
With the alliteration, it is maybe curious to me that there's a lot of fricatives in it. Normally, you would hear the fricatives when you have a punchy type of character. Someone who's being a little bit more violent or I don't know what, or maybe someone who's showing their power. So,
yes, I think he's trying to impress us all, isn't he? I get that impression. Eric?
Yeah, he's so modest. Just like, I am the best. I mean, yeah, that is basically what God is in most portrayals of these mystery plays. Yeah, I do like how the writer has alliterated across languages as well, where you've got like peerless patron imperial impatris sapientia, where it's like, yeah, I speak Latin. No, I don't. But I mean, the writer clearly understood what they were doing. Yeah, and obviously, if this was performed outside as a sort of mystery play, I guess it would carry more easily if it alliterated.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose if you're outside on top of I don't know how these were performed, but if you're on top of a cart or whatever, this is the first play, so you're gonna want to draw the crowd's attention, aren't you? Make them stop chatting and put their fish away that they've just bought off the market or whatever, and just like pay attention to God. So it definitely does that. It definitely grabs you. Shall we continue and see what happens next? So God has just finished his speechifying, and then we have Lucifer. Take it away.
Lord, through thy grace and might thou hast us wrought 9 orders of angels, here as you may see. Cherubim and seraphim through your thought, thrones and dominations in bliss to be, with Principates that order bright, and Potestates in blissful height. Also, Vertutes through thy great might, Angelic, and also Archangeli. 9 orders here be witherly, that you have made here full bright, in thy bliss full bright they be. And I, the principal, Lord, here in thy sight.
Here have I wrought with heavenly might, of angels 9 orders of great beauty, each one with others, as it is right, to walk about the Trinity. Now, Lucifer and Lightborne, looks lowly you be attending. The blessing of my benignity I give to my first operation. For craft, ne for cunning, cast never comprehension. Exalt you not to excellency in no high exaltation. Look that thou tend right wisely, for hence I will be wending. The world that is both void and vain, I form in this formation, with a dungeon of darkness, which never shall have ending. These works now be done by my divine formation. This work is now well I wrought, that is so clean and clear, as I you made of naught, my blessing I give you here.
We thank thee, Lord, full sovereignly, that hath us formed so clean and clear, ever in this bliss to abide thee by. Grant us thy grace, I to bide here.
Here for to bide God grant us grace, to please this prince without an peer. Him for to thank with some solace, a song now let us sing here.
And here the angels sing a song in praise of God.
Now, sith I have formed you so fair and exalted you so excellent, and here I set you next my chair, my love to you is so fervent. Look you fall not in no despair, touch not my throne by non-assent. All your beauty I shall appair, and pride fall aught in your intent.
Nay, Lord, that will we not indeed, for nothing trespass unto thee. Thy great Godhead I will we dread, and never exalt ourselves so high. Thou hast us marked with great might and main, in thy bliss evermore to bide and be, in lasting life our life to lead, and bearer of light thou hast made me.
And I am marked of that same mould, loving be to our Creator, that us hath made gayer than gold, under his diadem ever to endure.
I have forbid that you ne should, but keep you well in this stature. The same covenant I charge you hold, in pain of heaven your forfeiture. For I will wend and take my trace, and see this bliss in every tower. Each one of you keep well his place, and Lucifer, I make the governor. Now I charge the ground of grace that it be set in my order. Behold the beams of my bright face, which ever was and shall endure. This is your health in every case, for to behold your Creator. Was never none like me under lace, ne never shall be as my figure. Here will I bide now in this place, for to be angels' comforter, to be revisible in short space, it is my will in this same hour.
And God exits, and we'll pause there just to take in what we've had already. So, God's there, the angels are all there, Lucifer's been made the governor, what could possibly go wrong? Thoughts about this this very angelic section? Eric, you had plenty to say in the chat. Do you want to just share that with everyone?
It's in all the mystery plays. I think this is one of my favorite sequences where you've got like he's created the world, he's got his throne, he's and he basically goes, "Do not sit on the throne." So, of course, I wonder what could possibly happen. It's I and also I just noticed that God has a lot longer lines than everybody else. Like sort of, well, of course, our listeners and viewers can't see the text itself, but the God has a lot longer lines compared to everyone else.
Yes, he's got more complicated syntax. He has calmed down a bit though with the alliteration. It was interesting. His second speech was still alliterative, but not quite so much, and now he seems to have just like calmed down. Now he's got all the angels around him. He's maybe feeling a bit like, yeah, okay, I don't need quite so many fricatives. But I get the impression with this, I don't know how many performers would have been involved in this, whether it was just done in a very scaled down way and you had like literally one person representing all the angels, or whether you just had a load of extras, because it occurs to me that this could be really quite an amazing opening with all these, if you do have lots of like non-speaking angels there sort of lined up. Alan.
I think the conclusion we came to when we looked at the ages ago was as many extras as you could actually find costumes for.
Yeah.
Because it gave everybody a stake in the venture.
Yeah. Yeah, and creates a spectacle and just really brings home the fact that this is something extraordinary. This is something, you know, this is the creation of the world, and making it into a real spectacle for everyone who's on the street watching. I mean, I assume this would be performed in the street. I don't know, but that's the assumption I'm making. Anyone else got any thoughts about this? Yeah, Eric.
Well, I guess also they would have had sort of people who could, well, maybe not necessarily who could sing, but people who would sing. Because you've got like the angels sing a song in praise of God.
Yes.
I don't think we have the song itself, but hymns would have been popular, I imagine.
Yeah. No, we don't have the song, sadly, but that could have been quite beautiful. That would have like drawn the crowds, I would imagine. Or maybe not, yes, depending on the quality of the singers. But there was a lot of singing going on at this point, wasn't there? There was still, I mean, there were pre-Reformation, so there was a lot of singing going on in church. So I should imagine there'd be, quite a few people in a community who would be used to singing and could hold a tune. All right, okay, shall we move on then? God's not on his throne, but neither is anyone else yet, so all's still well in the world, but let's see what happens next.
That I am wondrous bright among you all, shining full clear. Of all heaven, I bear the life, though God himself and he were here. All in this throne, if that I were, then should I be as wise as he. What say you, angels? All that be here? Some comfort soon now, let me see.
We will not assent unto your pride, nay, in our hearts take such a thought, but that our Lord shall be our guide, and keep to us that he hath wrought.
Our Lord commanded all that be here to keep his hests, both more and less. Therefore I warn thee, Lucifer, this pride will turn to great distress.
Distress? I command you for to cease, and see the beauty that I bear. All heaven shine through my brightness, for God himself shines not so clear.
Of all angels, you bear the price, and most beauty is you before. My counsel is that you be wise, that you bring not yourself in thrall.
If that you in thrall you bring, then shall you have a wicked fall, and also all your offspring may away with you they shall all.
Our brethren's counsel is good to hear. To you I say, Lucifer and Lightborne, wherefore beware you of this cheer, lest that you have a foul spurn.
In faith, brother, yet you shall sit in this throne, both clean and clear, that you may be as wise withal as God himself, if he were here. Therefore ye shall be set here, that all heaven may you behold. The brightness of your body clear is brighter than God 1,000-fold.
Emma, could you step in and read Thrones, please?
Alas, that beauty will you spill if you keep it all in your thought. Then will pride have all his will, and bring your brightness all to naught. Let it pass out of your thought, and cast away all wicked pride, and keep your brightness that to you is wrought, and let our Lord be all our guide. Alas, that pride is the wall of Luti, that turns your thought to great offence. The brightness of your fair body will make you soon for to go hence.
And we'll just stop there. And sorry, Emma, I gave you entirely the wrong part to read there because you ended up talking to yourself. So yeah, Emma was playing Thrones and Potestates there as well, just in case anyone following along at home was confused by that. But basically, yeah, Lucifer, he's not having it, is he? He wants that throne, and various people keep saying to him, oh, it's not a good idea. But do we think he's going to listen? No. No. Any thoughts about that little section? Anyone want to say anything? Who is Lightborne? Eric.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Lightborne seems to be like either related to Lucifer or just sort of an equal. And kind of goes, yeah, you should just totally sit down. Just,
Yeah.
Just maybe for a while, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Alan.
Lightborne is Lucifer's sidekick, effectively.
Right. Okay. Yes. I thought maybe he was, but yeah. Okay, but we don't know anything more about. He's just one of the. He's one of the serried ranks of angels.
Second ranking demons.
Second in command.
Is how it turns out.
Yeah. Eric.
Well, basically their name means the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of yeah. I guess also it's kind of the little demon on the shoulder kind of thing. It's like you should totally do this.
Should totally do this.
Satan's
Yeah.
mini me.
Yeah. But there are so many, like Lucifer isn't exactly listening to reason, is he? It's just kind of, I mean, obviously we wouldn't have plot if he was, but just kind of it's like not 8 against 1 or 7 against 1.
Yeah, but he's got his eye on that throne.
Not that God had so much humility also as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. He's not exactly been set much of an example, has he? Really? Hey, everybody, I'm fabulous. Don't sit on my throne. I know it's fabulous. Don't sit on it. I'm kind of interested by the idea of this throne as well, like sort of where it would be. If it was on a cart or a float, like would it have been like raised up maybe a set of steps or like on a scaffold or something so that everyone could see it. And you can imagine Lucifer's halfway up the steps and everyone's going, no, don't do it. Does anyone think he's not going to do it? Silly question, really. Let's find out. Lucifer, carry on.
Behold, seniors, on every side, and unto me you cast your eye. I charge you, angels, in this tide, behold and see what I do mean. Above, great God, I will me guide, and set myself here, as I ween. I am peerless and prince of pride, for God himself shines not so sheen. Here will I sit now in his stead, to exalt myself in this same sea. Behold my body, both hands and head. The might of God is marked in me. All angels, turn to me, I read, and to your sovereign, kneel on your knee. I am your comfort, both Lord and head, the mirth and might of the majesty.
And I am next of the same degree, replete by all experience. Methinks if I might sit by thee, all heaven should do us reverence. All orders are assent to thee and me. Thou hast turned by eloquence, and here were now the Trinity. We should pass by our fulgence.
Alas, why make you this great offence? Both Lucifer and Lightborne, to you I say, our sovereign Lord will have you hence, and he find you in this array. Go to your seats, and wend you hence. You have begun a parlous play. You shall well wit the subsequence. This dance will turn to teen and tray.
I read you all. Do me reverence, that am replete with heavenly grace. Though God come here, I will not hence, but sit right here before his face.
And we have a stage direction. Lucifer sits, Gloria tibi Trinitas, glory to you, the Trinity. At which point, it doesn't say in the stage directions, but God reappears.
Say, what array do you make here? Who is your prince and principal? I made thee angel and Lucifer, and here thou would be lord over all. Therefore I charge this order clear. Fast from this place, look that ye fall. Full soon I shall do change your cheer, for your foul pride to hell you shall. Lucifer, who set thee here when I was go? What have I offended unto thee? I made thee my friend. Thou art my foe. Why hast thou trespassed thus to me? Above all angels there were no mo that sat so nigh my majesty. I charge you to fall till I bid no. Woe to the pit of hell, evermore to be.
And Lucifer and Lightborne fall.
Last that ever we were wrought that we should come into this place. We were in joy, now we be not. Alas, we have forfeited our grace.
And even hither thou hast us brought into a dungeon to take our trace. All this sorrow thou hast us sought. The devil may speed thy stinking face.
My face, false feature for thy fair. Thou hast us brought to teen and tray. I comber, I canker, I kindle in care. I sink in sorrow, what shall I say?
Thou hast brought us this wicked way, through thy might all and thy pride, out of the bliss that lasteth aye, in sorrow evermore to abide.
I wit it was as well as mine, of that pride that we did show, and now lieth here in hell pine till the day of doom that beams shall blow.
Then shall we never care for woe, but lie here like two fiends black. Alas, that we did forfeit so the Lord's love that did us make.
And therefore, I shall for his sake show mankind great envy. As soon as he can make, I shall send him to destroy. Some of my orders shall he be to make mankind to do amiss. Ruffian, my friend fair and free, look that thou keep mankind from bliss. That I and my fellows fell down for aye. He will ordain mankind again, in bliss to be with great array, and we evermore in hell pain.
Out! Hello! Where is our might that we were wont to show, and in heaven bear so great light? And now we be in hell full low.
Out! Alas, for woe and wickedness! I am so fast bound in this chair, and never away hence shall pass, but lie in hell, all still here.
And exit the demons.
Ah, wicked pride, a work thee woo. My mirth hast thou made amiss. I may well suffer. My will is not so that they should part thus from my bliss. Oh, pride, why hast thou not burst in two? Why did they that? Why did they this? Behold, my angels, pride is your foe. All sorrow shall show wheresoe'er it is. And though they have broken my commandment, me rueth it sore full sovereignly. Nevertheless, I will have mine intent. What I first thought, yet so will I. I and two persons be at one assent, a solemn matter for to try. A full fair image we have iment, that this same stid shall multiply. In my blessing, here I begin. In my blessing, here I begin, the first that shall be to my pay. Lightness, darkness, I bid you twin, the dark to the night, the light to the day. Keep your course for more or mine, and suffer not, to you I say, but save yourself both out and in. That is my will, and will alway. As I have made all things of naught, after my will and my wishing, my first day now have I wrought. I give it fully my blessing.
And here ends the play. God's just gone off thinking to himself, why did they do that? What? No, I know what I'll do. I'll just make some other beings, because that went really well the first time. He's gone off to make some more. So there we go. That's the end of the first of the Chester mystery plays. The world has been created, and God is just about to go and make some people to go on it. Having kind of messed up quite significantly with his first lot of creations. What do we think? Thoughts from the room? Nobody has any thoughts. Everyone is just stunned. Eric has a thought. Yes.
Yeah, no, I was thinking, I can't remember the title of the dialogue, but there's a dialogue that was written like several hundreds of years later after this, that is basically kind of demons in hell sort of having a TED, the Lucifer basically giving a TED talk on how to destroy the world, which is a bit, which is what this reminded me of, because he's just enjoying himself like in hell. He's like, oh, woe is me. Oh wait, no, I'm fine. Yeah, I can totally make this work for me. I like this new look. Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting how Lucifer has that quick switch, sort of between woe is me to sort of payback. Yeah, I don't know. It just
Although I mean he's very, he does say somewhere, I've lost it now, he is going to show mankind great envy. So I mean, it's like, yeah, I can make this work, but I'm still like, yeah, you can tell he's maybe making the best of a bad situation, but he's not entirely over it, I feel.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah. He hasn't let it go. Yeah. I am very interested by the staging of this, or the possibilities for staging this, because if this is I'm thinking about levels, because if you've got this assuming that this is on like some sort of cart or float and it's moving, I'm not sure if it would have been moving or whether it would have been like fixed. Alan, you seem to have something to say about this. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the logic we came up with previously on this and similar plays in the other cycles we looked at is that you've got a static cart.
Yeah.
It's got an exalted throne on it, so a dais on the cart on which is the throne, as over the top as your props budget will afford. That's God's seat. The steps below it effectively is where Lucifer and Lightborne would be, and one or two other angels, and then seated on the floor of the cart and in the audience, in other words at ground level, you would have the rest of the 9 orders.
Right, yes, that would make sense. I was kind of thinking along the same lines, but I was thinking of it slightly slightly reversed, in that you'd have the cart, you'd have the stage on the cart, you'd have the scaffolding with the throne on top, so that you could see Lucifer climbing up the steps towards it. But then you could have the hosts of angels actually on the cart, and then you could have hell as the audience, basically, so that when Lucifer falls, he doesn't just fall like back down to the like he doesn't just fall from the throne to the level of the angels. He falls down past the level of the angels, and then down till he's actually on the ground among the audience. And it occurred to me that would be not only visually quite striking, but also quite fun in terms of the audience. You know, you could get them worked in there. You could there could be some back and forth with the audience, or at the very least you could scare a few children. Eric.
I was going to say maybe it's more like a Castle of Perseverance setup. Like, I mean, obviously, pageant wagons were a thing, as we've historically and whatever. But like, I seem to remember we were looking at the layout of how it was, there was scaffolding with the different levels, as you said, and then you had like hell in a different, like the hell mouth somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you had it on. I seem to recall with that it was on hills, wasn't it? And people,
something like that.
It was sort of static, and people moved between them. It was intriguing. Emma, you had your hand up, and then Dan.
Yeah, I'm just really interested in the staging as well, and I do see it as a very ensemble piece. And we know there are musicians, so I really like the idea that you can maybe kind of have music throughout, especially in moments like the fall. You have some horrible, like screamy, scratchy noises, perhaps. And also, I feel like maybe when they do fall, maybe the angels could kind of pull off all their lovely bright garments, because it says they turn into kind of like black, or I can't remember the exact phrase, like they're just all kind of sooty and horrible by the end. So yeah, they could lose all their finery as they fall down, and really just use the ensemble in that way. Yeah, and I'm also thinking earlier, perhaps God has his own kind of orchestra, and when Lucifer sits on the throne, he's trying to get them to play for him, and they kind of reluctantly do, potentially.
Oh, I like that idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think if we were going to stage that today, we'd definitely want a bit of that. And yeah, I love that idea of the angels sort of ripping their angelic garb. Often they could be they could be sort of if I was doing this today, someone put in the chat earlier, it's like Sarah wants the RuPaul version. I always want the RuPaul version, but I'm thinking they could have like red cat suits on underneath their angel robes, so that as they get down, the pure white robes get torn off them, and they're sort of like, oh. Yes. Anyway, that's the camp version, folks. This is not what probably happened in the original text. I'm fairly certain it didn't. Anyone else got any thoughts? Dan, you had your hand up, didn't you, before?
Yeah, and I don't see why they only had to be on I mean, we all know about the pageant wagons, but I don't see why they also couldn't have just built stages as well at times, and then had all the different levels. I can't see it being any other way than having different levels if you want it to be effective. Also, I can see why probably this doesn't seem to me that if people are churchgoers, this doesn't seem to be the God that's necessarily depicted in what I remember from going to church. I can see why the church may not have liked these plays so much.
Well, this is a very Old Testament God that we've got here, isn't it? Yeah. Eric, your hand is up there.
I was just going to say that, like, obviously, if we were staging this nowadays, we would have to worry about health and safety. Like, sort of not push the actor off, like, just like the side of a scaffolding with, like, even with the harness, that would be hard to achieve. I mean, safely.
Yeah. But you could always have him put on a bungee and he could bounce back. No. Sorry, I'm being flippant. Carry on, Eric.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering if sort of you could combine the ripping like their fineries off with maybe the angels actually just sort of, I mean, the other angels attacking the fallen angels to pull off sort of like in the temple scene in Jesus Christ Superstar, where you've got like sort of this overwhelming mob of people, and you've got like sort of one person disappearing into the mob, things being ripped off, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the angels could be sort of used as a sort of extra safety level, so that as they're ripping off their wings and their finery, they're actually the actors are actually kind of helping them get down a level. Yeah, that would be a sensible way of doing it. Yeah. Any other thoughts about this play overall? What it's doing? It's interesting what you said, Dan, about which version of God is this? Because he is. Yeah, he's not exactly the most successful hero figure, is he? Really, he's I'm gonna create these beings for my pleasure. Oh, they're not doing what I told them to do, therefore I'm going to cast them away and make some more instead. I guess I'm looking at it through modern eyes, but he's not exactly the most winning of gods. But then, I mean, he doesn't have to be, I guess, because he's a patriarch and he's in charge. So yeah, Dan.
The thing that I wonder, because obviously we had the split from the church, the English church from the Roman Catholic Church as well. And I'm wondering, I mean, we're only reading the first play here, what parts one would have considered, I guess, incendiary to the Anglican Church. Like going again, I mean, just because to me, this just seems like, well, this doesn't seem like the God that I, having been raised Catholic, no, even from the Old Testament ones, that Lucifer, if I recall, was leading up an uprising as opposed to just, I don't know, yes, he took his throne, I get it, but it's not like this God seems so benevolent in the first place.
No, he's got a bit of a narcissistic streak, hasn't he?
Right.
Alan.
Yeah, I think actually the Chester text is unusual in as much I believe we explored this and found that this is probably more authentically pre-Reformation than some of the other mystery cycles, which were heavily played around with during the latter Henrican and Elizabethan periods, to bring them more into line with the Anglican tradition. But it is very, very much Old Testament stuff, and the Hellfire one, which you probably still find in some of the forms of extreme Protestantism today.
And just to remember, folks, if you're following along at home, other mystery cycles are available. If you don't like this one, go and have a look at Endtown or York or one of those. See if you like that better. Eric, yes, carry
I was
on.
just going to say to Dan's point that obviously they're probably the throne part is maybe not the most important sort of radical behavior that Lucifer demonstrated, but it's the one that is easiest to depict on a stage, I think, compared to like time-wise having to set up a rebellion and that kind of thing. Although I don't know how big this stage was, because obviously, as we've said, pageant carts and all that stuff. And if there were 9 orders, it would have been like a lot of extra people on stage as well.
Dan?
I think the challenge with doing a play versus just doing a sermon or writing or reading from the gospel or the Bible or whatever is that you are trying to dramatize the entire thing. And so it's difficult to have a drama if it's just plainly good or plainly evil on either side. And I think that's what makes it, to me, having these, I guess, gray areas with these characters is making it more appealing to me. It's actually making Lucifer much more appealing to me than God here. And it's making God more interesting as a character that, at the end of the day, I suppose one is supposed to be thinking, yes, we should follow God, except that when God is portrayed this way, I'm not so sure if I want to.
Well, it's always the conundrum, isn't it, for religious writers, because inevitably Lucifer always ends up being more. I mean, Milton was going to have this problem a few hundred years later. He always ends up being more interesting than God, usually. But I think as a drama, as a play, it works pretty well. This, I mean, it's simple, but you have conflict. You have 2 strong lead characters. You have a lot of visual stuff going on to satisfy the audience. You have visuals that are quite striking, but that can be created quite simply. And as Emma said, you've got scope for lots of music as well, and singing and color. So I don't know. I would like to see this staged personally. I would like to see this done. Outside. In the street. I gather the cycle, the Chester cycle is done in Chester every so often, but I haven't actually seen it. If you've seen it at home, please feel free to leave a comment under the video and tell us what you thought of it. Shall we move on now to Chester play number 2, please? The Draper's play. So the world has been created, and the second page pageant begins with how God has taught the world. And would you Adam and Eve it? We don't actually have our Eve in the room. She hasn't made it to today's session, so I'm not entirely sure who should play Eve. Let's just wait and see when she comes in, who's not in the scene, and we'll take it from there. I can always step in and play her if necessary, but we'll try and just maybe pass the part around a bit. Let's wait and see. Anyway, we begin as always with God. Take it away, God.
Ego sum alpha et omega, I, Primus et novissimus, I, God, most in majesty, in whom beginning none may be, endless also, most of paucity, I am and have been ever. Now heaven and earth is made through me, the earth is void only I see, Therefore, light for more leave, through my craft I will kever. At my bidding, now made be light. Light is good, I see in sight. Twin shall be through my might the light from the stars. Light day I will be called A, and the stars night, as I say. Thus morrow and even the first day is made full and express. Now will I make the firmament, in midst the water to be lent, for to be a divident, to twin the water's eye, above the welkin beneath also, and heaven it shall be called oo. Thus common is even and morrow also of the second day. Now will I waters every one, that under heaven be great one, that they gather into one, and dryness soon them show. That dryness earth men shall call. The gathering of all the waters all, seas to name have they shall, thereby men shall then know. I will on earth that herbs spring each one, in kind seed giving, trees diverse fruit forth bring, after their kind each one, the seed of which for I shall be within the fruit of each tree. Thus morrow and even of days 3 is both comen and gone. Now will I make through my might lightning in the welcome bright, to twin the day from the night, and lighten the earth with leave. Great lights will I make too, the sun and eke the moon also, the sun for day to serve for oo, the moon for night to be. I will make on the firmament stars also through mine intent, the earth to lighten there they be lent, and known may be thereby courses of planets, nothing amiss. Now see I this work good ibis. Thus morrow and even both made is the 4th day fully. Now will I in waters fish forth bring, fowls in the firmament flying, great whales in the seas swimming, all make I with a thought, beasts, fowls, stone and tree, these works are good, well I see. Therefore to bless all likes me, these works that I have wrought. All beasts, I bid you multiply in earth and water by, and fowls in air to fly, the earth to fulfill. Thus morrow and even through my might, of the 5th day and the night, is made and ended well aright, all at my own will. Now will I, on earth, bring forth anon all kinds of beasts, every one, that creepen, fly, or else gone, each one in his kind. Now this is done at my bidding, beasts going, flying and creeping, and all my works at my liking, fully now I find. Now heaven and earth is made express, make we man to our likeness. Fish, fowl, beast, more and less, to master he shall have might. To our shape now make I thee, man and woman I will there be. Grow and multiply shall ye, and fulfill earth on height. To help thee thou shalt have here herbs, trees, seed, fruit in fair, all shall be put in thy power, and beasts eke also. All that in earth be stirring, fowls in the air flying, and all that goest hath and likings to sustain you from woe. Now this is done, I see aright, and all things made through my might. The 6th day here in my sight is made all of the best. Heaven and earth is wrought all with win, and all that needs to be therein. Tomorrow, the 7th day, I will blin, and of work take my rest. But now this man that I have made, with ghost of life, I will him glad. Rise up, Adam, rise up, raid, a man full of soul and life, and come with me to paradise, a place of dainty and delice. But it is good that thou be wise, bring not thyself in strife.
And then the Creator bringeth Adam into paradise before the tree of knowledge. But just before he does that, let's just pause and look at that opening, because that's quite something, isn't it? And apologies to the viewers at home. I said that I implied earlier that the earth had already been created. That was because of something that Lucifer said about how he was envying mankind. Obviously, he had powers of foresight, because turns out that the earth hadn't been created at that point, but it has now. And we've just had this extraordinary monologue from God, it's kind of like a prologue where he makes the earth. And again, I'm thinking about the staging of this, and the fact that this is the Draper's play, I think is interesting, because there is so much scope. If this was going to be a school play, if this was a school production, you'd have somebody would be dressed as a whale, and the little kids from the bottom class would be all dressed as fowls, and they'd all run on with their flapping their wings at the right time, and everybody, there'd just be a whole medley of beasts. And it occurs to me, because this is the Draper's play, they might be able to pull off something like that. If anyone's going to be able to create that whole array of fantastic costumes, it's going to be the Drapers, I suppose. And you could have the sun, and you could have the moon, and the people like the coming in being fish. There is immense opportunities for like a really great spectacle, but really charming spectacle as well, that gets the whole community involved, I think. Eric?
I was just going to be sort of, say like, it could be just black light theater or something, or shadow puppetry. Not shadow puppetry, but like, something of that like element, where you've got sort of, you can make a lot of things with very simple materials.
Sock puppets.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, wouldn't be quite such a spectacle, but hey. Anyone else got any thoughts on this? Emma, how did you find God? Did you feel like he changed at all from his previous characterization?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously he had his little introduction. I am God. I am Alpha and Omega, and all that kind of thing. But then it was less about everything that he is, and more about everything that he's creating. He takes the focus off himself and into his creation, so a bit less egotistical, I think.
Yeah, makes him more likable, doesn't it?
Much more likable. And then you see him, I felt as I was reading it, he created something, and I felt, oh, that's nice. You feel his happiness as he makes each thing, I think.
Yeah, he's got that really lovely enthusiasm that all of us who are nerds about different things, that we bring to our particular passion. There does seem to be a bit of like, honest geekery going on there. It's like, oh wow, this is so great. I've made this thing. And just kind of staging wise as well, because this is the opening of the play. You could start completely blank stage, just God, and then as he speaks, all the set starts to come up, and by the end of this speech, you've got the full set ready to go. Yeah,
it'd be nice.
Yeah. Dan, is that a hand?
Yeah, it is. Now, this is the God that I remember growing up. going to Catholic school or going to mass, you even hearing this reading or this gospel, and I didn't even need to see all of the staging of it. The words were just so beautiful, and you can see all of the images, you can visualize everything here. So imagine if this is being staged, just the possibilities of it. And it could be very, very simple, and because the words are beautiful and because it's very poetic, you don't even need to have all of it. But the fact that you can really do a lot with this, like you were saying. So yes, it definitely feels like a different God, and definitely much more appealing than the first one.
Yeah, and more uplifting too. It's like everyone's going to want to come out for this and watch it, aren't they?
If they put this in a different order, like that one first and then the Lucifer one, I mean, then maybe I'd have a little bit more sympathy for God.
We've had the drama and conflict early on, though, haven't we? So it's like maybe this is a little bit of a respite. Eric,
I was going to say that this kind of harks back to the line that he has about light in this darkness. I bid you twin the dark to the night, the light to the day, from the previous play. But then, like, it sort of I don't know. It perplexes me that he obviously it's for us. It's the obvious, like day and night are twins. But then, yeah, I don't know. Just as a creation method, why would you make things in pairs? But then I don't know. Yeah.
Fan of symmetry? I don't
Yeah, but he created 9 orders, and then there
true,
were 8.
True.
Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, but that didn't work out well, did it? So maybe he's decided to stick with pairs. I don't know. But maybe we'll find out. Who knows? Shall we press on? So yeah, this whole spectacle, as Emma was saying, starting with nothing and then more and more getting added in. And then the apotheosis of all that is Adam. Adam appears before the Tree of Knowledge. In the back of my head, I've got an image of the Tree of Knowledge just sort of springing up like, whee! It suddenly pops up and there's Adam, there's God. And this is the crowning glory of his creation, and God continues with Adam. Take it away, Emma.
Here, Adam, I give thee this place, thee to comfort and solace. Keep to it while thou it has, then do as I thee say. Of all the trees that be herein, thou shalt eat and nothing sin. But of this tree, for whale nor win, thou eat not by no way. What time thou eats of this tree, death thee behoves, leave thou me. Therefore this fruit I will thou flee, and be thou not too bold. Beasts and fowls that thou may see, to thee obedient I shall be. What name they be given by thee, that name they shall hold.
God takes Adam by the hand, causes him to lie down, and takes a rib out of his side.
It is not good man only to be. Help to him now make we. But excite sleep behoveth me, anon in this man here. On sleep thou art now, well I see. Therefore a bone I take of thee, and flesh also with heart free, to make thee a fear.
Then God doth make the woman of the rib of Adam.
O Lord, where have I long been? For sith I slept, much have I seen. Wonders that withouten ween hereafter shall be wist.
Rise up, Adam, and awake. Here have I formed thee a mate. Here to thee thou shalt take, and name her as thee list.
I see well, Lord, through thy grace, bone of my bone, thou her mayst, and flesh of my flesh she has, and my shape through thy soul. Therefore shall she be called Iwis. Virago, nothing amiss, for out of man taken she is, and to man shall she draw. Of earth thou madest first me, both bone and flesh. As now I see, thou hast given her through thy paucity of that I mean had. Therefore man shall kindly shall forsake father and mother, and to wife take 2 in 1 flesh, as thou can make either other for to glad.
Then Adam and Eve shall stand naked and shall not be ashamed. And we'll pause it there because everything's going so well. Again, it's just great. This is fabulous. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, so Adam's there. Eve's there too. Now, I'm really interested in how they staged this. Like, yeah, how do they do the whole thing? Yeah, the stage direction says, then God doth make the woman of the rib of Adam. And I'm thinking, yeah, how are you going to do that on a car in the middle of the street? Alan?
Stage trap, effectively.
I hope so. I'd like to think she just pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spring loaded.
Yeah.
For added gag.
That would be fantastic. Yeah. She doesn't say a lot though, does she? Dan, do I see a hand?
I would think just draping some sort of blanket over her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
just like this.
Probably the simplest solution.
Angelo!
Yeah.
Yeah, she pops out from behind the tree. Emma, did I see a hand from you there? No. Eric.
Well, the line about you name her, it's like, what? You've been naming all these things, and now you give me the job. But it made me think of Mark Twain's sort of, I think it's Diaries of Adam and Eve or something. It's a short story, very, very, very short, like a few pages, and he basically throughout it, Adam complains that Eve talks too much, and then is sad that she dies first, of course. Spoilers, but it's a very well written story. I mean, Mark Twain. Yeah, it's kind of, this part is kind of, as you said, hard to stage, I imagine, both bone and flesh and heart as well. It's like having all the parts that can make a human being, but how you make this, how you do this.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm sort of being reminded of those like scenes you get in Panto, where there's the cauldron and the witch throws all the different, like, throws in a string of sausages and throws in an old slipper and throws in all the different stuff, and then the demon pops out. Right. Well, anyone got anything else to say about this? No? Right, then let's crack on. So we've left Adam and Eve standing naked but not ashamed. Then the serpent shall come out of a hole, and the devil walking shall say,
Out! What sorrow is this, that I have lost so much bliss? For once I thought to do amiss, out of heaven I fell. The brightest angel I was ere this, that ever was or yet is. But pride cast me down, Iwis, from heaven right to hell. Ghostly paradise I was in, but thence I fell through my sin. Of earthly paradise now, as I win, a man is given mystery. By Beelzebub, I will never blend till I may make him by some sin from that place for to twin and trespass, as did I. Should such a caitiff made of clay have such bliss? Nay, by my lay, for I shall teach his wife a play, and I may have a while. For her deceive, I hope I may, and through her bring them both away. For she will do as I her say, her hope I will beguile. That woman is forbid to do for anything thereto will shew. Therefore, that tree shall she come to, and assay what it is. Disguise me I will anon tight, and proffer her of that ilk fruit, so shall they both for their delight be banished from that bliss. A manner of an adder is in this place, that wings like a bird she has, feet as an adder, a maiden's face, her kind I will take. And of that tree of paradise she shall eat through my coitus, for women they be full liquorish that she will not forsake. And eat of it full wittily, they shall fare both as did I, be banished both of that valley and the offspring for I. Therefore, as brock as I may pain, the adder's coat I will put on, and into paradise I will go on, as fast as ever I may.
The snake approaches Eve in the garden, and lo, as if by magic, Rob Crighton has reappeared to play Eve.
Woman, why was God so nice to bid you leave so your delice, and of each tree and paradise to forsake the meat?
Nay, of the fruit of each tree for to eat, good leave have we. Save the fruit of one we must flee, of it we may not eat. This tree that here in the midst is, eat we of it, we do amiss. God said we should die, Iwis, and we touched that tree.
Woman, I say, leave not this, for it shall not lose thee bliss. Nay, no joy that is his, but be as wise as he. God is coy and wise of wit, and wots well when you eat it. Then your eyes shall be unknit, like God's you shall be, and know both good and evil also. Therefore, he warned you therefro, you may well wit he was your foe. Therefore, do after me. take this fruit, and essay. 'Tis good meat, I dare lay. And but thou find it to thy pay, say that I am false. Eat thou one apple and no more, and you shall know both weal and woe, and be like to God both two, thou and thy husband also.
Ah, Lord, this tree is fair and bright, green and seemly in my sight, the fruit sweet and much of might, that gods it may us make. An apple of it I will eat, to essay which is the meat, and my husband I will geat, one morsel for to take.
Then Eve shall take of the fruit of the serpent, and shall eat thereof.
Adam, husband, life and dear, eat some of this apple here. It is fair, my lief fear, it may thou not forsake.
That is sooth, Eve. Without an word, the fruit is sweet and fair. Therefore, I will do thy prayer. One morsel I will take.
Then Adam shall take the fruit and eat thereof, and in weeping manner shall say,
Out, alas, what ails me? I am naked while I see. Woman, that cursed thou must be, for both now we be shent. I wot not for shame whether to flee, for this fruit was forbidden me. Now have I broken, through rede of thee, my Lord's commandment.
Alas, this adder hath done me nigh. Alas, here read, why did I? Naked we been both for thy, and of our shape ashamed.
Yea, sooth said I in prophecy, when thou wast taken of my body, man's woe thou would bitterly be. Therefore thou was so named.
Adam, husband, I read we take these fig leaves for shame's sake, and to our members a hilling make of them for thee and me.
And there with my members I will hide, and under this tree I will abide, for securely come God us beside, out of this place shall we.
Then Adam and Eve shall cover their members with leaves, hiding themselves under the trees. Minstrels play.
Adam, Adam, where art thou?
Lord, I heard thy voice now. I am naked, I make a vow, therefore now I hide me.
Who told thee, Adam, thou naked was, save only thine own trespass, that of the tree thou eaten hast, that I forbade thee?
Lord, this woman that is here that thou gave to my fear gave me part. I did at her prayer of it did I eat.
Woman, why hast thou done so?
This adder, Lord, he was my foe, and soothly deceived me though, and made me to eat that meat.
Adder, for that thou hast done this noy, among all beasts on earth thee by, cursed thou shalt be for this woman's sake. Upon thy breast thou shalt go, and eat the earth to and fro, and enmity between you two henceforth what I will make. Betwixt thy seed and hers also I shall excite sorrow and woe, to break thy head and be thy foe. She shall have mastery, I. No beast on earth I thee behet, that man so little shall have let, and trodden be foul under his foot for thy misdeed today. And woman, I warn thee wittily, thy mischief I shall multiply, with penance, sorrow, and great annoy, thy children thou shalt bear. And for that thou hast done so today, man shall master thee alway, and under his power thou shalt be thee for to drive and dear. And, man, also I say to thee, for thou hast not done after me, thy wife's counsel for to flee, but done so her bidding, to eat the fruit of this tree. In thy work worried the earth shall be, and in great travail behoveth thee on earth to get thy living. When on the earth travelled thou hast, fruit shall not grow on that place, but thorns and briars for thy trespass to thee on earth shall spring. Herbs and roots thou shalt eat, and for thy sustenance sore sweat with great mischief to win thy meat, nothing to thy liking. Thus shalt thou live, sooth to say, for thou hast been to me unba'en. ever till the time thou turn again to earth there thou came from. For earth thou art, as well is seen, and after this world woe and teen, to earth thou shalt, without and ween, and all thy kind also.
Alas, in languor now I'm lent. Alas, now shamefully I am shent, for I was unobedient, have wailed, now I am waved. Now all my kind by me is kent to flee woman's enticement. Who trusteth them in any intent, truly he is deceived. My liquorous wife hath been my foe, the devil's envy shent me also. They twain together well me go, the sister and the brother. His wrath hath done me much woe, her gluttony grieved me also. God let never man trust them two, the one more than the other.
Now shall ye part from this lee. Killed you behoves to be. Dead beast skins, as thinketh me, is best on you bear. For deathly both now been ye, and death no way may you flee. Such clothes are best for your degree, and such now shall ye wear.
Then God puts garments of skins upon them.
Adam, now hast thou thy willing, for thou desirest above all thing of good and evil to have knowing. Now wrought is all thy will. Thou wouldst know both wail and woe. Now it is fallen to thee so. Therefore hence thou must go, and thy desire fulfill. Now, lest thou covetest more, and do as thou hast done before, eat of this fruit to live evermore. Here may thou not be. To earth thither thou must gone, with travail lead thy life thereon. For sicker there is none other one. Go forth, take Eve with thee.
Then God shall drive Adam and Eve out of paradise. Minstrels play.
Now will I that there lang within, the angels order cherubim to keep this place of wail and win, that Adam lost thus has, with sharp sword on every side, and flame of fire here to abide, that never a earthly man englide, for great they beam that grace.
Lord, that order as is right is ready set here in thy sight, with flames of fire ready to fight against mankind thy foe, to whom grace clean is great. Shall none of them lend in thy sight, till wisdom, right, mercy and might by them and other know.
I, cherubim, must hereby choice to keep this place of great price, sith that man was so unwise, this warning I must wear, that he by craft ne no cointis shall not come in that was his, but deprived thee of paradise, no more for to come there.
And in this heritage I will be steely for to oversee, that no man come in this city, as God hath me behight. Swords of fire have all we, to make man from this place to flee, from this dwelling of great dainty, that to him was first night.
Of this order I am made one, from mankind to wear this one, that through his guilt hath forgone, for great they be in that grace. Therefore depart they must each one, or else sword shall be their bone, and myself also their foam, to flame them in the face.
And once again, minstrels play, and we'll pause there as Adam and Eve find themselves cast out. Oh, it's so sad. Didn't see that coming. Maybe I did. So yeah, that was this is a much longer play than the first one, and it really got quite complex there throughout that Adam and Eve story. Is that because the world's getting a more complex place, do you think, or is it just a coincidence? Thoughts from the room? Alan.
It's somewhat ironic, as it's the Draper's play, that it starts off with naked characters.
Well, yeah, although we had all that stuff with the fish and the fowl and the beasts and the sun and moon beforehand. So I think, as I said earlier, I think the Drapers probably had quite a lot to play with here. But yeah, Adam and Eve naked, and then suddenly very much in need of fig leaves. Eric.
Yeah, it's kind of very much that thing of do not touch this thing, and then obviously, yeah. I mean, it's not quite the same to the same extent as Lucifer just going, "I want to hop on this throne," but I mean, Lucifer mediates, so yeah. Totally not our fault. Not our fault at all. Not God's fault. Of course not. Yeah. No,
There are definite plot parallels, though, aren't there? I mean, I wonder, yeah, to a certain extent, maybe that's why it becomes more wordy. Because the parallels are there, but maybe, for dramatic effect, they're not wanting the audience to notice the parallels quite so much. I don't know. Again, the staging. We talked quite at length about the staging of the first bit while the world was being created. But this seems to be a lot more static. It's a lot more wordy and a lot more static. There's less scope for movement and for levels. And Rob,
we do have a use of a trap for the arrival of Eve and presumably Adam as well.
Yeah. And
just on Alan's point earlier about, it's strange that it's Drapers, you'd have thought the Skinners would be a shoo-in because they do, God does supply Adam and Eve with skins, and they, for the effect of them being naked, that might be some sort of leather skin suit. That's not an unknown thing. I don't know whether Chester accounts suggest that, but I think that is something that some cycles have done, is that you're in white leather.
Wow.
Which, I don't know, feels more kinky than actual nakedness, but hey. So yeah, Drapers, who'd have thought it?
Well, we were saying earlier, before you arrived, that we feel the Drapers, like the fact that when the world is created and you have the moon and the sun and the birds and the fish and the whale and the beasts all coming, we felt that the Drapers could have done that justice with all the costumes, and get all the local kids involved and have them dress up as birds and fly across the stage or whatever. But yeah, no, I've just got that white leather naked suit in my head now. It's not a little disconcerting.
My job here is done.
Yes, absolutely. Eric, rescue me. Thank you very much.
I was just going to say the bit about the apple/fruit, the eating from the tree of knowledge and whatever. That part is very Panto-esque, though. You can kind of feel the audience going, no, don't do that. Don't do that. He's behind you or whatever. Kind of. It kind of feels like you could play up the suspense there. I mean, obviously, if you were staging this, and sort of, also, I'm assuming the apple would have to be big enough for there to be two bites very clearly visible, because I'm assuming that they shared the fruit rather than, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why that matters.
I have no idea. Rob, you look like you might know.
No, I have absolutely no idea. But I again, other productions of this play have been sponsored by the grocers. Right. It feels like Chester is just the logical sponsorship opportunities are just slipping through their fingers here.
Yeah, I mean, they could maybe make a giant apple, but then if they were actually going to take bites of it, or they could have made a giant papier-mâché apple with 2 bites on the back, and then they mime and then they turn it around. It's like, oh, we've both bit. What I found interesting was the fact that after Adam bit into the apple, he immediately was like, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. Look at me, I'm naked. Whereas when Eve first bit into it, she was like, oh yeah, I should get my husband to come and taste this. Like, why does she not have the same reaction? Is it because she's made of a rib? I don't know. It didn't seem quite logical. Eric?
I was just going to say she didn't get the memo because God made the announcement before she was created.
That would be
so, it. Yeah. And it's like, well, also because Adam does say, I can't remember the line exactly, but something along the lines of, "This woman, you've destroyed me." And when I was told, not to do this, rather than we were told not to do this.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so maybe it tasted fine to her. She was just like, don't know what all the fuss is about until he tells her, which is interesting, actually. Yeah, Rob.
And he immediately dobs her in it. I mean,
Oh,
he is
totally.
utterly. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a total shit.
Yeah.
And it's visually, no, it's her, sir, it's her. It wasn't me. It
All
wasn't
her
me.
fault.
And I mean, and I feel Eve is reasonably justified of immediately then going, it was the adder. It was the adder. It wasn't me. But yeah, they are. The misogyny is really quite rampant, isn't it?
Yeah. But which, I mean, to be fair, I don't know that you'd expect anything else from a play based on Genesis, but hey ho. Anyone else? Any further thoughts about this particular section, Eric?
I did enjoy the bit about flame them in the face. Just like
Yes, great line. Yeah, yeah. It's I'd kind of like them. I'd like them to sort of stage that, but I guess they're not going to. But yeah, it's like half angel, half dragon. Flame them in the face. I would actually expect that to be the end of a play, but it's not. We've actually still got quite a long way to go with this. Whereas the first one was just like, very, very sort of short, one unit of action, one story. This is like we're getting more into sort of episodic mode here because the Drapers are still going on. And we have a whole part 2. So let's press on. We begin with Adam. So take it away.
high God and highest King that of naught made all thing, beast, fowl, and grass growing, and me of earth made. Thou gave me grace to do thy willing, for after sorrow and great sighing, thou hast lent me great liking. 2 sons, my heart to glad. Cain and Abel, my children dear, whom I got within 30 year after the time we waived were a paradise for our pride. Therefore now them will I lear, to make them know in good manner what I see when Eve my fear was taken of my side. Whiles that I slept in that place, my ghost to heaven ravished was, for to see there I had grace, things that shall befall. To make you aware of cumbrous case, and let you for to do trespass, some I will tell before your face, but I will not tell all. I wot by things that there I see, that God will come from heaven on high, to overcome the devil so sly, and light into my kind, and my blood that he will win, that I so lost for my sin. A new law then shall begin, and so men shall it find. Water or fire, as literally all this world shall destroy, for men shall sin so horribly, and do full much amiss. Therefore, that you may escape that noise, do well, and beware me by. I tell you here by prophesy, this will befall, I wis. Also, I see that, as I shall say, that God will come the last day to deem mankind in flesh vere, and flame of fire burning, the good to heaven, the evil to hell. Your children this tale may you tell. This saw I in paradise or I fell, as I lay there sleeping. Now will I tell you how you shall do God's love to underfoe. Cain, husband's craft thou must go to, and Abel a shepherd be. Therefore, of corns fair and clean that groweth on ridges out of the rain, Cain thou shalt offer as I mean to God in majesty. And Abel, while thy life shall last, thou shalt offer and do my hest to God the firstborn beast, thereto thou shalt make thee bound. Thus shall you please God Almighty, if you do this well and right, with good heart in his sight and full devotion. Now, for to get your sustenance, I will you teach without distance. For sith I fell that mischance, for of that fruit for to eat, my life, children fair and free, with this spade, as you may see, I have dolven. Learn this at me, how you shall win your meat.
My sweet children, darlings dear, you shall see how I live here, because that we unbuxom were, and did as God knolled. This pain there as had been no need, I suffer on earth for my misdeed, and of this wool spin threed by threed, to hill me from the cold. Another sorrow I suffer also. My children I must bear with woe, as I have done both you two, and so shall women all. This was the devil, our bitter foe, that made us out of joy to go. To please God, sons, therefore be throw in sin that you not fall.
Mother, forsooth, I tell it thee, a tillman I am, and so will I be. As my father hath taught it me, I will fulfill his lore. Of corn I have great plenty, sacrifice to gods soon you shall see. I will make to look if he will send me any more.
And I will with devotion to my sacrifice make me bound, the loveliest beast by my crown. To thee, my lord, I will choose, and offer it before thee here, meekly and in good manner. No beast to thee may be too dear, for that I may not lose.
Here, Adam and Eve go out till Cain have slain Abel. Spoilers.
I am the elder of us two. Therefore, first I will go. Such as the fruit is fallen fro is good enough for him. This corn standing as mote ivy was eaten with beasts as men may see. God, thou getst none other of me. Be now thou never so grim. It were pity by my pen this eared corn for to brand. Therefore the devil hang me then, and thou of this get aught. This earless corn grew nigh the way of this offer I will today. For clean corn by my fay of me getst thou not. Lo, God, here may thou see such corn as grew to me. Part of it I bring to thee, anon without it led. I hope thou wilt quite me this, and send me more of worldly bliss, else forsooth thou doest amiss, and thou be in my debt.
Abel kills animals in sacrifice.
Now, my brother, as I see, hath done sacrifice now to thee. Offer I will as falleth for me, such as thou hast me sent. The best beast, as mote I thee, of all thy flock, with heart free, to thee offered it shall be. Receive, Lord, my present.
A flame of fire descends upon the sacrifice of Abel.
High God and King of bliss, how soothly now I well by this, my sacrifice accepted is before the Lord today. A flame of fire sent thou hast from heaven on high into this place. I thank thee, Lord, of thy grace, and so shall I do
Out, out! How have I spent my good? To see this sight I wax near wood. A flame of fire from heaven stood on my brother's offering. His sacrifice I see God takes, and mine refuses and forsakes. My semblance for shame shakes for envy of this thing.
Cain, why art thou wroth now? Why? Thy semblant changes wonderly. If thou do well and truly, thou may have meed of me. Wottest thou not well that for thy deed, if thou do well, thou may have meed? If thou do foul, foul for to speed, and sicker thereof to be. But Cain, thou shalt have all thy will, thy talent, if thou wilt fulfill. Sin of it will be spill, and make thee evil to speed. Thy brother buxom I shall be, and fully under thy paucity. The lust thereof pertains to thee. Advise thee of thy deed.
Ah, well. Well then, it is so. Come forth, brother, with me to go into the field. A little here, fro. I have an errand to say.
Brother, to thee I am ready to go with thee full meekly, for thou art elder than I, am I? And thy will I will do I.
Say thou, caitiff, thou conjoin weens thou to pass me of renown? Thou shalt fail by my crown of mastery if I may. God hath challenged me now here for thee, and that in foul manner, and that shall thou abide full dear, or that thou wend away. Thy offering God accept has, I see by fire that one it was. Shall thou never eft have such grace, for die thou shalt this night. Though God stood here in this place for to help thee in this case, thou shalt die before his face. Have this and get thee right.
Cain kills his brother Abel. Minstrel's play. We'll just pause there to take in what's just happened. Somebody put, I think it was Rob, put in the chat, like, time shift. There were a couple of time shifts there, actually, weren't there? Because you had, first of all, he's got kids. So at least 9 months has passed. And then, they're grown up. This is definitely, Rob, you were also saying in the chat that in every other mystery cycle that you've come across, this is actually a separate play to Adam and Eve.
Well, yeah, the way plays are separated does vary very much from group to group, and also they move around as well. Sometimes you've got plays that are put together that may have been under different guilds running it. So it's not impossible that this was devised as a single piece for a single. I don't know whether there's actually a reasonable amount of data that might actually tell us what the auspices for this were. But it might be that these are two totally separate pageants that have just ended up being done by the drapers at the time this text has been created. I mean, the fact that this and the previous one are thematically so well connected, suggests there's oversight over the cycle overall. But that doesn't mean that there aren't sort of shifts and stuff going on. And there was a missing stage direction, which I must apologise for, that Cain does actually bring on a plough, apparently. So I assume just a little hand one, not a team of oxen, but you never know. So during his opening address, he pauses and brings on a plough according to one stage direction that is from one of the texts.
I am interested in the stage direction. A flame of fire descends upon the sacrifice of Abel. I'm wondering how that was done. Anyone got any thoughts? Because I'm assuming they didn't actually set fire, to, whatever it was that he had there.
We've had flaming swords in this pageant, so pyrotechnics seems to be a thing they do. I mean, a bit of cord with gunpowder on it, and set up to do something along those lines. Health and safety doesn't exist yet, remember?
Yeah, I have a feeling Abel's going to lose his eyebrows at the very least, if he's lucky. Eric.
I was just going to say that we've had a pageant. I think it was one of the Lord Mayor's shows that we read like ages ago. That was it was a character called Zeal throwing like some sort of pyrotechnic at another character as well. So it's like, safety was not an issue. And I seem to remember we were wondering how on earth that would work. It was basically like he throws a bolt of fire or lightning or something at some other character, and it was like, okay.
Yeah.
And we've
dangerous.
Got music cues as well, stopping and working over, especially time jumps as well. So they're very aware of time passing. So and something to cover up, maybe costume changes or a change of actor. Maybe Adam, walks out one door and comes back, and a different actor dressed as an old man or something, or an older man.
And the minstrels always seem to turn up as well when there's like major action, major drama. So yeah, what Emma was saying earlier about, if you were staging this now, the sort of scope for having quite discordant music could be quite fun. Dan, did I see your hand earlier?
Yeah. Yes, the dating of the manuscripts, because there's 8 of them, at least I think 7 of the 8 of them are dated around late 16th, early 17th century. So there would have been pyrotechnics around this time period. And I was saying in the chat that in A Looking Glass for London and England, which stages a lot of these Old Testament stories, they do have a lot of these types of props, including, I think I was mentioning a flaming sword as being one of them in there. So we don't know when these scripts were actually written, but by the time that the scribes had taken these down, they might have been inserting the types of stage directions that would have been possible during this time period. So who knows how they would have done? They could have had lots of effects.
It's intriguing. And note to self, if I ever go and see one of these stage, do not stand in the front row. Right, shall we move on and find out what happens? Cain has just killed his brother Abel, and God is back. Cue God.
You can't rush God.
Cain, where is thy brother Abel?
I wot ne'er. I cannot tell of my brother. What's thou not well that I of him had no keeping?
What hast thou done, thou wicked man? Thy brother's blood asks thee upon vengeance as fast as it can, from earth to me crying. Cain, cursed on earth thou shalt be I, for thy deed thou hast done today. Earth worried in thy work shall be I, that wickedly hast wrought, and for thou hast done this mischief. To all men thou shalt be unlief, idle and waved as a thief, and over all set at naught.
Alas, where may I be? Sorrow on each side I see. For if I out of the land flee from man's company, beasts I wot will weary me. And if I lang by my luti, I must be bound and nothing free, and for all for my folly. For my sin so horrible is, and I have done so much amiss, that unworthy I am iwis forgiveness to attain. Well, I wot wherever I go, whoso meets me will me slow, and each man will be my foe. No grace to me may gain.
Nay, Cain, thou shalt not die soon, horribly if thou have done. It is not thy brother's boon thy blood for to shed, but forsooth, whoso slayeth thee, sevenfold punished shall he be, and great penance thou may not flee for thy wicked deed. But for thou to this deed was born, thou and thy children trust mon, unto the seventh generation, great penance for to thole. For thou today hast done so, thy seed for thee shall suffer woe. And while thou on the earth may go, for vengeance hath the dole.
Out, alas, alas. I am damned without grace. Therefore, I will from place to place and look where is the best. Well, I wot and witterly in what place that come I, each man will loathe my company. So shall I never have rest. Foul hap is my befall. Whether I be in house or hall, cursed Cain, men will me call. From sorrows may none me save, but yet I will, or I go, speak with my sire, and damn also. And their malison both two, I wot well I must have. Father and mother, rest you well. But what tidings I shall you tell? I have slain my brother Abel as we fell in a strife.
Alas, alas, is Abel dead? Alas, rueful is my red, no more joy to me is led, save only Eve, my wife.
Alas, now is my son slain. Alas, now marred is all my main. Alas, I can never be fain, but in woe and mourning. Well, I woe to know, Iwis, how very vengeance that it is. For to God did I so amiss, that I shall never have gladding.
Now, dam and sire, farewell ye, for out of land I will flee. A losel away I must be, for I am a escaped thrift. For so God hath told it me, that I should never thrive thee. Now I go, to all that I see, I grant the same gift.
And the play ends. This is what happens when you leave the elder sibling to babysit the younger one when you go out. It's never a good idea. Really melancholic end there, actually. It's kind of it's gone on so long, this play, and okay, we think it's two. But the previous two, they ended with quite a flourish, whereas this one brings it right down, doesn't it? It's kind of really small and tiny at the end there, which is, I don't know, interesting for a mystery play, because it's quite, they don't normally have that sort of intimacy. They don't seem to anyway, but I don't know, I felt that one did. What does anyone else think?
I'm just checking. I'm just checking that just the presence of Adam and Eve during, Cain and Abel, and I'm just wondering. I'm not sure. I don't think the Adam and Eve feature in any other versions. Of the Cain and Abel. Usually, Cain and Abel are sort of just out amongst themselves, doing their own thing, and often the Cain and Abel story is a little more developed than this. This is actually quite a condensed version. But the fact you have Adam and Eve coming in and mourning their son who has been killed by their own son, that gives you a very, very different slant to this story. It's much less interested in the familial relationship between Cain and Abel. It's much more interested in the family unit. I mean, it's still all very brief. In comparison with, say, the previous two elements of this pageant, this cycle so far.
Yeah, but it does add an emotional, like it packs a punch, doesn't it? Like for the audience, it's also really interesting. I noticed. I mean, if we are taking this as a separate play, God's become a lot more distant as each one's gone on. He's sort of retreated. By this point, he's retreated, and so that whole thing of like, even though Cain and God have that dialogue, and God calls him wicked and tells him how it's going to be and how he's going to be punished, it doesn't really have the same, because God's a more distant figure by that point, doesn't really have the same emotional impact as Adam and Eve coming in and saying, oh my God, what's happened. And it's when he faces them right at the end that's the real punishment you feel, or at least you could do it that way. Yeah. Alan.
Yeah, it's almost as if God said, oh, for God's sake, or goodness sake, this lot's all gone to shit. I'm off.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and have a sabbatical.
Yeah, he's kind of given up on the whole, let's just try making some other kind of creature instead. It hasn't worked out twice now.
Where's the dolphins?
Yeah. Eric.
But then he returns for the whole what's it called? Murder of well, not murder, but anyway, he returns in later episodes anyway. But what I'm wondering is sort of the Adam and Eve thing. They haven't appeared, as Rob was saying, they haven't appeared in other versions of this story. But I seem to remember there was one where there were fragments where they kind of. We only had part of the story, obviously. So but there was a friend called Balthazar or something, who basically lightened up the whole thing for no apparent reason. He was making jokes, cracking jokes. And it's very, very sort of, Cain and Abel tend to have like more back and forth in other versions, as Rob said.
Yeah, I think there's a servant. There's effectively a servant in one of the other ones. I'm thinking Townley off the top of my head. I think I could be wrong on that one. Which yes, is damaged. There's I think the opening's missing. Someone lost a page.
Oh. I have a question that you will be able to answer, I would imagine, Rob. What would the time frame have been for these plays? Like, would they have been performed one after the other, or would they have been performed like on different weeks, succeeding weeks, or would there have been, what I'm saying is, would there have been gaps between, or would the action have been quite continuous and flowing?
Well, Chester, the model for Chester, I mean, it does change over time, but basically it's like York in the sense it's processional. You've got carts, they turn up at various stations and perform across the day or days. So later on, I say it's a 3-day event.
Right.
I used to think it was the shortest cycle, but I think it's the longest by a nose. And of course, over time it expands and contracts. But yeah, so the previous play would have been on a cart, it would have moved up the street, and then this one would have turned up and it would have moved along. I mean, there's no guarantee that actually this play was 2 separate plays. I mean, I have to say the two plays that we have done, the 3 units of action, do have us feel very unified in many ways, and the idea that God disappears is sort of what God's relationship with man is supposed to be throughout the Old Testament. Increasingly, he's sending angels. He only occasionally pops in to talk via burning bushes and things. But there's more intermediaries as it goes on. There's an arm's length relationship, and of course, by the time you get to the New Testament, it is all angels until the end of the world. In which case, the relationship, the difference between God, the Father, the Son, and it all gets very complicated when we get to the end of the Chester cycle, because we do get Antichrist plays, and that's when it goes into a whole different gear to what you got here.
Interesting. Right. Well, I think it is time for final thoughts on both these plays. So if someone would like to kick off, I'll start with you, Eric, for final thoughts. And then at the end of final thoughts, Rob, I will hand back over to you because my work here is done. Eric.
Yeah, I mean, we've read many mystery cycles. They kind of all blend together. I don't know if they could be performed. I know that they are performed today. I mean, having seen things online and like various, things. Yeah, I mean, they're quite. It depends how you do them. I guess. Like within the framework of like a religious festival, for example, or just sort of it's summer, let's do it. Yeah. I think they're quite well written though. Like these ones are a lot clearer than other things that we've read. As in, like End Town and I think it was the Wakefield ones as well that we've read. And Castle of Perseverance, which I mentioned earlier, which isn't really a mystery cycle. It's a morality play. I don't know how you genre is weird. This one is a lot clearer to follow, definitely in terms of language as well. And
Yeah, and clear, easy to follow, and just like really satisfying as well, dramatically. Alan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've been through the various mystery cycles that we've done. I think because this one has probably been in Rob's repertoire a little longer than the others, it may have been more intervention in terms of clarifying the text a bit. Although I'm getting head shakes from Rob on that. But it may just be because I'm familiar with the material that it is making more sense. But this second play did feel very much to me like two that had got splinched together. Because there is that time lapse, or the time lapses in the middle. I mean, it certainly works, and I think as public theatre, it would certainly get an audience reaction. And you were talking of a time where the audience would also have been the congregation who would have had these stories preached at them repeatedly every week for the whole of their lives. So they will be familiar with the base material, and it's a matter of someone trying to make it interesting as a staged piece.
I don't think it would be hard to make this interesting, really. There's a lot to work with there. Emma, have you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, so I was reading God for all of that.
How was God?
Yeah.
How was God for you?
Yeah, no, and I think it was interesting because obviously he's very much Old Testament version of himself. Moments of extreme power and anger and things. However, there were also some really soft moments as well. Well, that's how at least I felt he could play it. There were moments where he genuinely feels really sad and heartbroken that when Lucifer goes against him, and then when Adam and Eve do the same thing. And I think you can get that range with him, which makes it a very good drama. He's not just all shouty. Like there are some real softer moments, I thought. And then in general, like I was saying before, I think these have great scope for being ensemble plays with. I love things with active musicians. That's what I do. I do a lot of myself, and I think music throughout. Obviously, where it says music, but also lots of kind of potentially music underscoring, use of drums, cymbals, especially with the whole creation elements and the big, dramatic falls from grace, etc. But yeah, there's just so much scope in this play for a really potentially musical ensemble.
Yeah, there is. It could be very tasty. Dan, final thoughts from you, please.
I'm very much interested in these all of these mystery plays and these morality plays, just as a whole, the End Town, Townley, these in terms of, I mean, they've had such a long life, all of them, over the centuries. During this time period, I'm most interested in actually the same thing I think you are, which is how they were staged at the time. Or maybe you're more interested in how they're staged now, but maybe I'm interested in, I think both of them really. And what I would want to see is just, and unfortunately all we have is to go by scribal manuscripts, and only one manuscript actually exists where it's the part of God from the Persis Satanae, where we have kind of an idea of how it might have actually been staged. If I recall from that one, there is a stage direction of an hour passes. It's not really a stage direction, I think, but telling you basically that in the part of God, an hour is going to pass before he comes back on again, or something like that, which starts to give me an idea of, well, I guess how long that public might have been there to stand. So, going along this question of, well, were these staged together, where they moved around? I mean, I don't know. Maybe sometimes they were just sat here and then they moved, but they were doing these back to back. And from all we can see from this manuscript is how they were separated, but gives no indication that, well, therefore that's all they did at that moment. So I think there's just not a lot. Maybe, and I know there's a lot of people who specialize in these plays, who probably know a lot more than I certainly do about them. But that's what I'm most interested in as a spectacle over the day or 2 days or 3 days, what they would have done and how they would have done it.
Yeah, it's intriguing, isn't it? Rob, you never get to give final thoughts because you're all like, how was Eve? How was Eve for you? You got to read today.
Yeah, Eve doesn't do a lot. She's not a massive part. And, just go, hi, kids. Look, life's terrible. Especially... oh, my son is dead. Oh, woe is me. It's not a fun part in many ways. And I was just responding to Alan's question about how much intervention has been in this text. Well, this text and all of these texts have been early modernized, as it were, in that transcription. Some more than others. This particular version that I chose to work from was the one that was the most modernized to a degree, because I just thought it would be the easiest one to throw at the then reading group nearly 10 years ago. So in that sense, it's a lot easier to read. There has been some modernization before it got to you, and there's at least one modernizing error that that crept in, but see if anyone noticed at home, and a few possible little issues. But otherwise, it's already in a much more modern state, and. Yeah, I think it's just got such a nice journey to it. I love the fact the first play is all about, don't sit in the chair, don't sit in the chair, you sat in my chair. And then the second play is don't eat from that tree, don't eat from that tree, you ate from the tree. And it's like, God doesn't learn, does he? He just doesn't, learn he should have put the flaming sword angels around the tree of knowledge, as well as the tree of life, and from the very beginning, and he didn't learn. So that's the moral I'm taking away, which is learn from your mistakes, and fooled you once, hey ho. Sarah, do you have any final thoughts?
Not really. I've been sort of uttering my thoughts as I go along. I just really liked it. Unlike Dan, I'm interested in this, like how the practicalities of staging it. I'd be really interested in staging. I know it does get staged still today, but I'd be really interested in staging it in a very arty, pageanty way, because I think it would. Yes, I am already planning the RuPaul version. Eric has just put in the chat. Yeah, there is so much you could do with this, and it would be such. I mean, these were community plays, and the opportunities for getting the whole community involved in something like this, I think, just makes it quite mouth-watering, and yeah, like exciting. The prospect of staging it would be exciting.
In fact, as we're recording at this time, Chester is gearing up for the next year's pageants. So they're, in fact, they are advertising for people to get involved already. So there is a modern staging. With a lot of these cycles, there are modern stagings that happen all the time. So in a sense, there's sort of less push or urgency for us to do versions of these, because people are already... There is a living tradition for these. They're often very adapted. They're often, not anything close to this. I'm curious to know actually how Chester deals with the text, but it does vary from year to year and from production to production. So there's a living tradition there. As I said at the beginning of the recording, we have already done exploring sessions. They're a bit rough and ready, and you may hear a different name of the group at the top of the recordings, and they're all split across different episodes. It's a bit of a mess, basically, but it's on the podcast, and it's some of the earlier stuff there is. But there are also also slightly rough, because it was the first kind of versions we ever did, but we did do full cast audio adaptations of these plays, so you can go and listen to reasonably clear versions of those, which were recorded very much on the hoof. So don't shoot the pianist. He was trying his best. So thank you very much, Sarah, for hosting in my actually relatively brief absence. Thank you very much to all the wonderful readers. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Alas, alas.